Thank Hi. Thank you for participating in my interview. So I have a few questions to ask you. The first research question is based around how do mainstream teacher experience implementation of inclusive education? The first question is, can you describe your experience teaching in an inclusive classroom?
Um, I think my experience in teaching in an inclusive classroom is probably because first I've had like over 30 years of teaching experience. So it's definitely grown over those 30 years. It was never looked at as inclusive when I first started teaching. It was just your class.
Mhm.
I've had some very good experiences, students that were very receptive, they were very supported at home, and they came to school ready and prepared. So they were fairly easy, adding them to my classroom, like as far as if I'm looking at something like autistic or, but I've also had some that were very, very hard if you're looking at autism, and a lot of that came that parents were in denial, and it was very hard to work with them. I mean, if you're looking at different levels, such as ability, if somebody's really low, um, I think that's always been the case. Like you're always trying to find ways to help them and support them. So I feel
So,
it.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So do you consider, are you trying to explain, describe to me that your experience is greatly shaped by the parents' involvement?
I think partially, definitely, that definitely helps a teacher. But I think it also does help what is implemented in the school. Does the school support you? Are you left on your own a lot? So that can be very challenging.
Okay. How would you describe the process of implementing inclusive education in your own classroom?
Well, a lot of it comes down to planning. A lot of thought has to be put in beforehand with thinking about the activities. And you don't want to do an activity. Well, you can do almost any activity, but you have to know the triggers of your students, and if they don't work well in groups, what is your plan for them? If it's something that they don't do well in, like maybe presentations, how do you adapt that? And that doesn't have to be for special students. It can be almost for anybody in class.
Hmm. What does inclusive education mean to you in your daily teaching practice?
What it means to me, well, I guess it just means that you want your students all to be involved, and it's not like you don't penalize people because they maybe have learning issues or have things that they're dealing with.
Okay. So making sure that everybody can participate to the
Yeah.
fullest.
Yeah.
How prepared did you feel to implement inclusive education when you begin teaching? Let's say you mentioned 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
As compared to now.
I don't think you had as many issues 30 years ago that you have now, or you certainly didn't have the labels that you have today.
Hmm.
So it was probably, we were a bit more naive about it as
Okay.
well. And I think, and you were just thinking it was a learning problem, or, they were just misbehaving because they were bad kids. So I think now maybe the understanding of why things work, uh, or why things happen the way they do is understood more. But when I first started teaching, you just accepted it. You knew that was what you had to deal with coming in, and there were hard moments when you didn't understand what was happening.
Did you feel prepared back then?
No, especially when I first started teaching and the first few years. But then you kind of learn from your mistakes and know kind of what you need to do. But I don't know if you're ever really prepared because everything's new every single time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the second research question. These questions are based on what challenges do mainstream teachers face when implementing inclusive education? Well, the first question is, what challenges have you encountered when teaching students with diverse learning needs?
Yeah. I guess maybe sometimes it's resources.
Resources.
Yeah, that's available through your school, or like for me, sometimes it's more if I'm looking online, is it worth me buying it?
Oh.
So that time versus money, right? You know, is it worth me having it, buying it, having it on my file so that if I need it again, I can do it? Definitely a lot easier now. There's a lot more things available online than, or even with ChatGPT to come up with ideas to do. What was the question one more time?
What challenges have you encountered?
Yeah, so definitely resources. Sometimes you need support that you can't have, whether it's the school doesn't have, or maybe somebody's busy with another student, or, you know, there have been times when I've been at school that even management wasn't so supportive. You were just kind of left to your own devices to figure it out, which was hard.
How do classroom management demands affect your ability to implement inclusive practices?
Yeah, well, definitely curriculum pushing that, you know, you feel driven to cover things that maybe can be a trigger if you're trying to move too fast and kids aren't understanding. It can be, you know, when you're pushing so fast to get through things and there's a lack of understanding, it's a knock-on effect for whatever you're covering next, which could be that behavior issues because they don't understand. And so they're just distracted from doing the work.
Are there any challenges you face in adapting curriculum or instruction for different learners?
Well, it's definitely time. You have to put in a lot of thought, looking for resources, printing out or making or creating. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
I see. How does collaboration with your support staff influence your experience?
It's a very good experience when you have the right support. So you're not only gaining understanding, but they're also supporting the child or the group of children. So there's actually progress being made and you're not having to divide yourself so much amongst the class.
And the last question, what support do you feel would help you implement inclusive education more effectively?
What do I feel I need more? Definitely like maybe a bigger resource bank to give ideas. Maybe a few more meetings so that we're kind of figuring out how students might work better with people who have more knowledge. Yeah.
I see. So thank you very much for your feedback. I really appreciate and value your time. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you.